been asked to chair the meeting.
Sorry, Ron.
Okay. In Frank's absence, I've been asked to chair the meeting, so I will call the meeting of the Governance Committee of the Downtown Partnership to order, the meeting of March 27th. Is there any public comment?
I didn't receive any.
Okay. So the next item is the approval of the minutes of the February 27th meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. Any comments, corrections, changes? All right, then let me ask for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your hand or say aye. Okay. Minutes
I'm
are
sorry, I
approved.
missed the second because I was writing and I didn't see. It was you, Steve. Okay, thanks.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the appointment. I guess it's our role to recommend an appointment to the full board, appointment of a committee member. And Cynthia, do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. So I put in the packet, filled out the nomination form for Jocelyn Santiago, and Jocelyn took Sarah Dufresne's place in youth services. And we had actually talked about her as a possible candidate at the festival meeting. And she happened to watch the festival committee meeting. And she was intrigued. And so she is interested in serving on the committee. She's a go-getter like Sarah, from what I can tell. And I think she would be a great addition with the link to families and children, which is one of our, target audiences for the festival. So as Ron said, the bylaws call for the governance committee to make a recommendation to the full board. If you did so, we would put it on the board agenda for Monday. Just a reminder to board members that meeting is Monday instead of next Thursday.
So I guess I would call for a motion to approve the recommendation of Ms. Santiago for membership on the board. Is there a motion? Betsy?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, any comments, any discussion? Then I will call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay, approved. Okay. The next item is a discussion of our upcoming annual meeting and a social event for downtown businesses. And again, Cynthia, do you want to kind of give us a background and discussion on that?
Sure. So it is that time of year we start thinking about the annual meeting and the structure of it, and where we might want to have it, who we might want to invite as a speaker. So Frank, a couple of weeks ago, thought one idea might be to have it at the Nave Catter and have Michelle Polgar, who I believe is the operations manager of the Connecticut Repertory Theater, possibly be our speaker. She's another go-getter. She was at a couple of our socials that you might have seen her. I think actually she was at the Hops 44 one. She and I met on a couple of other things about a week ago or so. And I think that I would assume that she would have the schedule for CRT ready to announce probably right around that time. And so one thought was to have the meeting there and then have a social event, possibly do it as a social event for all our downtown businesses. So continuing the goal in the strategic plan for more networking. We have invited our downtown businesses to our annual meetings the last couple of years. We usually get a few, but not a lot. But one thought might be, again, to sort of tag along a larger social than we have currently at our annual meetings, possibly walk across the street and go hang out at town on the square, on Patterson Square. So those are some thoughts. Timing is one thing Ron and I talked about a little bit earlier. Usually our annual meeting starts at 6, goes till around 7:30. Would we want to start this a little bit earlier to encourage more people to hang out longer? but we also want to be concerned about people that are working that may not get off till around 5. So that's the background, and you know, Frank wanted me to open this up for discussion. This is one item I'd like to be able to move one way or the other in terms of reaching out to someone for our location as speaker sooner rather than later, in case or if this people like this plan, if it doesn't work, then we'll need to go to plan B.
Cynthia, what's the date?
June 7th,
Okay, it is that. Yep.
Okay.
that
Um,
date can be moved too, if it needs to be, but that's typically, we've done it on that first, I think it's Wednesday.
Yep.
Diana?
I love the idea of the Nave Catter. I mean, that's just, and the Connecticut rep, I just think it's so great pulling in, the things that we're interested in really joining in with the downtown. So I love having the thought of that. And it's still really obviously close to where we usually have it. So if that timing works for them, I think it would be advantageous for all of us.
Steve?
Would we be able to park at the E.O. Smith High School?
June 7th. That's a good question. I will possibly, and then I don't know, Sean, if we would be able to, since it's after school's out, if we could park also, it's a little further away, but in that Yukon lot.
What time is the event?
Well, we're looking at possibly 6 or a little, maybe a little bit earlier, 5:30.
I think the summer enforcement's going to end at 5 p.m.
Oh,
What's the summer enforcement?
Enforcement hours will end at 5
Oh.
p.m. So you should be able to park there.
Okay.
okay. If I remember, usually you have some refreshments during the meeting.
We usually do it right before, so
Yeah.
people kind of mingle a little bit.
Yeah. Would that all work at Nave Catter?
Well, that's what I'm not sure about. So that's
Yeah.
why the thought was maybe we could, I mean, we could do it one of two ways. We could look and see what that hallway looks like at Nave Catter. I haven't been there in several years, so my memory's not as great. Or we do it afterwards on the square. If people are willing to walk across the street, we could set up something outside if it's nice. Or we could go to the Nash Zimmer. People may not want to move around too much. I mean, that would be a consideration too.
Mhm.
We may want to check EO's schedule, if we're flexible on a date, to the point of EO's parking. They have a lot of events coming in June.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Diane. I mean, according to Chris, they should be out by the 12th or 11th, but obviously the 7th is before that. So they might be in exams, and I don't know if they schedule any events that week,
Mhm.
but I can easily check this.
I think Steve had Steve.
Yeah, I like the venue and the speaker, but I do think that parking should be looked into. And I also agree that if we can have something in the way of food and drink, that has been in the past a feature which I think people have enjoyed. And if it's possible to do it at Nave Cater, that would be preferable.
Mhm. They must have in that building, or, Nave Cater it's a kind of it's linked to the other buildings. So there must be some way of doing that, because they must have events there all the time, I would think.
There is that lobby of the administration building there,
Yeah.
which you're right, I'm wrong. I mean, I think is linked if I remember.
Yeah. Should we leave to Cynthia working out the detail, making sure that this is all doable, and that we basically support this in concept?
I also think, Cynthia, do you need us to think of a backup today, or will you call another meeting?
I think if you can think of a backup now, that would help me.
That's what I figured. Okay, folks, what's a backup?
But we could do it at the church as we've done it before. At the,
Yeah, last year we did it, if you remember, at the Innovation Partnership Building.
okay, oh, right, yes.
And then we did our December social at the Barnes and Noble space, which is a little more difficult because it's a business meeting too. So we have to be a little bit in a situation where it's somewhat organized.
Mhm.
But, I don't, it made that one space in the back is fairly big. I just don't know how many people you could fit in there, but I can look into it.
You have any other suggestions, Cynthia? Since you're there all the time and we're not?
I don't think we can do this, but we could- right, Sean's gonna be like, oh, nope. At the indoor football facility or the indoor hockey facility, but I don't think that's possible.
Mhm.
I think the sports facilities really draw people. I think that's a great draw. So if, and that new hockey would be perfect for a second look. What about the businesses in town, like the new educational play care? It's Bright, what is it now? Bright, I should
Path?
remember this. Yeah, Bright Path. And, I don't know about, trying to go into a business to do that too, to go, if there's other businesses where we could have it.
I really like the idea of one of the sports facility. I've been curious, I haven't been to a hockey game, but I've been curious about the facility. I don't know. They're very self-protective of their facilities, but we'll see how you might react.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. I don't think I think hockey's a non-starter. Technically, it's not even, the project's not even complete yet.
Oh, okay.
So they're extra protective of the facility. Parking would not present that bad of a challenge, but I think that if you got NAFCADR lined up as a strong potential, go for it. I'll work out the parking issue so that there's no conflict with EO Smith. Or are you worried about attendance in conflict with an EO Smith event?
I wasn't worried about I wasn't worried about the conflict with the EO event. It was just
All right,
whether there
well,
was like the art show or a music or a concert, or that's, I think, was the biggest concern for the parking.
all right. Well, I can, I just got given the summer enforcement hours last week, but I'll have it confirmed in writing. And I'll say that we've got S-Lot's not coming offline for the residence hall. At least not as soon as it was anticipated. So we'll have that large lot. We'll have the few spaces across the way next to EO Smith track, and then we'll have the smaller lot immediately adjacent to Fine Arts, closer to the construction site. I'll just make sure that those lots are available at, say, beginning at 5 p.m. on June 7th. I like the idea of being closer to the downtown.
Yeah.
Basketball, this is a wrong time to ask anyone about use of a basketball facility.
Yeah.
Maybe if we get a couple more weeks behind us, Kyle and I can ask that question, but right now wouldn't be a good time. I can't even get the athletic director everybody's so busy over there right now. But in a couple of weeks, we can get their attention again and ask the question if we think we need an alternative.
Well, I can reach out to Michelle, right after this meeting.
Okay. And if all clicks, then all clicks. And then the question is, if it doesn't, do you want to, can we at our next meeting have enough time to work approval of the alternative?
I mean, it would be cutting it close.
Yeah.
I guess maybe if you're comfortable with this, if, you could give me the authority to move ahead working with Frank and Kyle, Frank as governance committee
Yeah.
chair and Kyle as board president.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yep.
Do you want a motion for that?
By consensus,
Our
Right.
consensus, but yeah,
Okay. Okay. So we're agreed with that? Okay, then the next item on our agenda is listed as review board member and officer positions. Cynthia, do you want to tell us what your thought was on that?
yeah, so I put that there because I wasn't sure if for this meeting, we would have a proposed representative from UConn. So I heard from Kyle this weekend because, so Frank he will have served 6 years. He could serve longer, but he's going to be going off the board June 30th. So I know that Kyle and others are working on a recommendation. Actually, I shouldn't say recommendation. UConn can make that decision on its own. So we just wanted the blessing of the governance committee, but they don't have a person finalized at this point. So there's actually no movement on that agenda item at this time.
So there would also be an appointment of a new chair of the governance committee at some point.
Right, yes, that will need to be done. Usually we do that at that special meeting, right, that brief meeting after the board meeting.
Mhm.
So we can do it at that point. My understanding is that Frank has spoken to Kyle about taking the chairmanship back on
Mhm.
for at least a little while.
Okay.
And then the officers, that is something we'll have to have a longer discussion with because Frank is the secretary.
Any discussion, any thoughts, any additional comments on that? Well, with that, unless there's some other item that
there
needs
is
to be.
one quick question. Cynthia, should I know who the speaker is for the annual meeting? Did I miss that?
We're gonna ask Michelle with Connecticut Repertory Theater,
Oh, okay.
Michelle Polgar,
Yeah.
to see if she would speak.
Okay, thank you.
Well, as
I'm
hostess.
getting to the age where I'm brain dead sometimes.
It's okay.
So,
No big deal.
Okay.
okay, well, if there are no other items, then it's time for a motion to adjourn. Betsy, and a second to that motion? Okay.
Second.
That was Diana. Okay, all in favor? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Well
Thank
done, Ron.
you.
20 minutes. Wow.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ron.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody. Have a good week.
Wait a minute.